true crime that is true. Listen very carefully to what I'm about to say, because this could happen to you. How was that?
Yeah, no, that was really good.
Alright, to the opening! So this week our story starts in the 1890s. In fact, we have some footage from the 1890s so we can show you, so you can know what it was like in that time.
Hey, Barney! Oh, hello, Fred. What happened? Did you get caught in traffic?
So San Francisco, 1890s, and we have our young reporter, John Dunning, biking across town. Perhaps you've heard of him. Johnny Dunning? Well, he was pretty popular over 100 years ago. He was on his way up. His only issue was gambling, embezzling, allegedly, and cheating on his wife. A lot. And that last one was a problem for his wife, too, because she left him and went back to live with her dad in Delaware. And his name was also John Peddington. Remember him, he's important. So, with his wife gone and his kids gone, Johnny, the reporter, was left to roam. He found another woman. Her name was Cordelia Botkin. This sounds kind of evil, doesn't it? It sounds like a Terminator. My name is Cordelia Botkin. Come with me if you want to leave. But in all honesty, Cordelia had a hard life. Her first husband was named Welcome. I'm not even making this up. You know what? Maybe it was actually Welcome who had a hard life. Oh, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, no, you're welcome. Yes, I am. What? Also, she had a boy named Beverly, which just goes to show that bad boys' names ran in the family. Eventually, she left Welcome, which is very sad, and she moved to San Francisco, where she met Johnny Dunning. She was 41 at the time and said she was 29, which is a pretty neat trick if you can pull it off. And she did.
You did it! Congratulations!
She posed for pictures like this. That's some messed up stuff right there. That's scandalous. I'm not even joking, that was scandalous back in the day. If they can see commercials now. So Johnny and Cordelia stayed together for about 3 years. And during those 3 years, Johnny Dunning drank heavily, got fired from his job, and lost most of his money. During that time, he started to think, maybe I shouldn't be with this woman. Maybe I should go home to my wife and children. It would seem during this time that Johnny was starting to separate himself from Cordelia, and he was able to get hired back at his old job. And that, my friends, is when the Spanish-American War hit. Very old war, mostly forgotten war, and Johnny was sent to Spain to cover the events. While he was over there in Spain, he wrote to Cordelia saying that he wanted to go back to his wife and make amends. Cordelia didn't like this.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, and another thing, Cordelia had found Elizabeth's address, and she was sending her letters, telling Elizabeth how Johnny was in an affair with an intelligent and smart and beautiful woman. So, for whatever you want to actually say about Cordelia, she had the confidence of a YouTuber. Wait. So when Cordelia found out Johnny was leaving there, she took matters into her own hands. She went to the candy store. Yeah, that's right. Drown your sorrows into some chocolate, Cordelia. It's the best thing to do, you know. Go back to Welcome in Beverly. But she wasn't trying to drown her sorrows in chocolate, which was the respectable thing to do. No. She bought some arsenic, which was readily available at the store, of course, and poisoned the chocolates with the arsenic. Then she shipped them to Elizabeth. So let's try to understand what Cordelia is thinking about during this time. 1. Johnny's leaving me. 2. He's going back to his wife. So, if his wife somehow dies from unforeseen circumstances, all he can do is come back. I see no issues in my line of reasoning. So, let's head over back to Delaware, where we find Elizabeth has gotten a box of chocolates. There was a note on the chocolates that said, "For you and your baby." She was trying to take out the baby.
You're despicable.
So now, let's paint a picture.
Bruh.
Over in Delaware, it was a nice evening. Family just finished a meal. Kids bring in the mail. And there are some chocolates from Mrs. C. Probably Mrs. Corbally, you know, old friend of the family. Nice lady. After all, who hasn't had bonbons sent through mail by an old friend of the family? I have. You have, I'm sure. That's just normal custom. The entire family enjoys some of these bonbons. Unfortunately, 2 of them died. Elizabeth, the woman she was targeting in the first place, and also Elizabeth's sister, who had nothing to do with anything. She just wanted some chocolate. Understandably, with the death of his 2 daughters, John Pennington was distraught. He asked the doctors what was wrong, and they said something must have disagreed with them. Which is technically true, but that's not what you want to hear. You want to know an answer. I suppose if you could say if there was a main character in this story, it'd be John Pennington. He went to his other friend named Worf. His friend named Worf. But Worf tested the chocolates and found arsenic. Enough arsenic to kill a horse. Because that was the biggest thing they had. John Pennington then started to think, where did these things come from? He kept the note from Mrs. C. And then he thought, this looks familiar. Remember when Cordelia was sending those letters to Elizabeth talking about how pretty, attractive, and smart she was? This is where this comes back to bite her. John Pennington compared the notes from the letters with the notes from the bonbons and found them to be exactly the same.
Forgive me, but I believe your boast sounds vaguely familiar.
With this evidence, the police arrested Cordelia Botkin. As the trial began, Johnny Dunning came back from the Spanish-American War to find his wife dead and his family in shambles, and was put on the witness stand to testify against Cordelia Botkin and talk about the affair they were having. Johnny was even put in jail for a little bit because he refused to say how many times he cheated on his wife. Everything was in the newspapers, which Cordelia loved, but eventually, she was put in jail. In jail, Cordelia prostituted herself with the guards for special favors. While waiting to receive her full sentence, Welcome and Beverly both died. Johnny Dunning also died in Philadelphia. Cordelia died from what the doctors said was melancholy. And finally, John Pennington rested with his daughters. So, folks, what does this teach us? Always share your chocolate. Don't cheat on your wife. Don't take candy from strangers. And most importantly, if your sister has marital issues, don't eat anything at her house. See you soon.